He's out!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the WGLNA Season 1 Gold League Playoff Preview. I'm your host, Christian Bullock, and to my left, David Williams. Be sure to catch us on Facebook and YouTube at /WGLNA, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at WGLNA to stay up to date with all that's happening in the community around you. How's it going, Dave?
It's going great. How are you?
Good. So, the season is finally done. The standings have been set. Let's have a look at those standings right now. So, in first we have High Voltage. Second, Team Refuse. Third, Noble. Fourth, Team Elevate. Fifth, Simp. And in sixth, 07. Those are our playoff teams. So, out of those teams, or even actually guys out of the league, what team most surprised you this season?
You know, honestly, I would probably have to say Refuse, because in the beginning I saw them as top tier, and I didn't quite understand how many changes they went through until I talked to Rude Awakening and Coolhammer and all that. So I kind of just saw them as probably a team that I expected to get to the playoffs, but probably fourth, fifth, something like kind of what they've done traditionally. You know what I mean? But this time they came out and they're a completely different team, and I'm very impressed with a lot of what they do.
Oh. That's interesting. My pick would have been obviously Lamp. I mean, I didn't quite think that losing Akula V and Ex-Soldier would have affected them that hard, but they obviously had some team drama kind of middle of the season there, so that I think set them back more than it should have. And so then if you had to pick a team that did what you expected throughout the season, who's your answer for that?
High Voltage. A lot of people. So I talked to a lot of people around the league, and I've promised confidence, so I can't say who, but many people, many league players, didn't think High Voltage would do what they've done. They called them, they said there was a lot of talent, a lot of ego on one team, and it'd be hard to make it work. And they kind of just dismissed it. But I knew these guys for a while. I knew their respect for one another, and I pretty much expected them to do as well as they have so far. Maybe second, but they've really brought it together. And the addition of Killzor seems to have really sealed everything that they had going for them.
And so we have two brackets, an upper bracket and a lower bracket. Let's go over the upper bracket first. So first game of the night will be Elevate versus Simp. What's your pick for that match?
That is, for me, one of the harder matches to decide. Actually, both of the initial matches, to me, are very difficult. I would say that Simp doesn't look like they have all season. If they'd been playing like they had all season, I would take Elevate, no questions asked, no hesitation. But they kind of turned it on all of a sudden, and they can beat Elevate. Meanwhile, Elevate seems to have struggled a little bit more in the last half of the season. Perhaps it's difficult with the language barrier. I know many of the European teams, or Russian/European guys they brought over, do speak English, but I'm sure there's at least some sort of communication going on there in Russian. But either way, I would probably have to choose Elevate just for the overall what they've done this season in general. Okay. But I think Simp is a very close runner for them.
Okay, and what's your call on the games? How many games?
Oh, man, I think that's going to go probably to 8 games either way. I think it'll be 5-3 one way or the other. I don't truly expect it to go 5-0 or to a tiebreaker at this point in time. So 5-3, 5-2.
Okay. I'm going to pick Elevate just because I think Elevate had a harder back half of the season, whereas Simp had a little lighter back half. That's kind of why they're, might give them a false confidence. So I'm going to go Elevate 5-2. That's my call.
That's a really good point. And there's always the chance that Elevate has been keeping some secret stuff in preparation for this. And I definitely wouldn't count them out. They got a lot of talent and a lot of knowledge on that team. Okay.
So second match of the night will be Noble versus 07. What's your take on that?
Match. Noble playing a lot better in their last matches, regardless of who the opponent is or whatever. Actually, Synergy is, in my opinion, a very great team, an underrated team, underperforming team for the season. A lot of their hardest battles, they did great. Anyways, on topic with Noble, I think they have what it takes to beat 07, you guys. And I think you also have what it takes to beat them, but I think 07's biggest problem is consistency. Whereas Noble is very consistent in what they do. It's just not what they are capable of doing more often than not. So we'll see if the playoffs get to that team as they kind of have in the past. And I'm definitely interested to see how well 07 does in that matchup. But with Vetro back and a little bit more work under the hood and a little bit of consistency, Again, that's either team.
That is true. I think '07 was very fortunate to get the bottom bracket. I don't think they would have done as well on the upper bracket. Um, I
No
think they have
disagreement
what it takes
there.
to beat Noble. I mean, Noble, out of everyone in the playoffs, they have the most wins against Noble. I mean, they only lost them 5-3 in the regular season, so I think it's there. What's your call in the game?
I think that one would definitely be close. That one would not surprise me if it was a 5-4. If that goes to a tiebreaker, no surprise to me whatsoever. 5-3, 5-4.
Okay, I'm gonna go totally unbiased here. '07, 5-3. That's my call.
There is always the
So
chance in the playoffs, though.
that is
You know,
true.
getting close to these close matches, where I guess what we're talking about. There's always the chance that one team just goes on tilt real fast.
Yeah. Okay, so judging by our picks, third night of the matches, I think we both agreed on Elevate, so it's going to be Elevate versus High Voltage. Predictions there?
I think High Voltage will take that one. Elevate would
Agreed.
have to show a lot more than they showed the last time they played them. They'd have to be keeping strategies up their sleeve, but I do not doubt that High Voltage has their own strategies up their sleeve. And based on the last result, I truly believe they're ahead in the meta against Elevate. They can do things that I won't really get into that Elevate may respond to because they happened last time.
Yeah,
And if they play that game and they get inside Elevate's head, they put them on tilt, it can go real bad for either team, honestly. If Elevate or if High Voltage struggles in the beginning, we'll see how well they claw back from it.
true. So your call is High Voltage. How many games do you think?
I think that one will be a 5-2 or a 5-3.
Okay, I'm going High Voltage in 5-3. I think Elevate's got enough to take 3.
I think they'll do better this time,
Yeah.
for sure.
And so with our predictions for the fourth night of the match, it's going to be, did you pick Noble?
Yes, I did.
So Noble versus Team Refuse. That's your pick. Who's going to win that battle?
Noble or '07, regardless of who gets through that, I don't think they should beat Team Refuse unless Refuse makes mistakes. I think Refuse has a pretty easy bracket, well, maybe not easy, but a pretty guaranteed bracket to get through as long as they just maintain the status quo of what they've been doing.
True. I would have to go with my prediction, '07 losing 5-2 to Refuse. See, I'm not that biased.
I
Okay.
thought you were going to keep going with it.
No. I'm level-headed. And so, Grand Championships, live finals. We have lots of time to do predictions, but right now, High Voltage versus Refuse. Who's your pick?
I'd go with High Voltage again on that one. If any team in the league can take them down, though, it's Refuse. So I think High Voltage has a strategic advantage, and I think Refuse has a player skill advantage. The question is, can one team take that advantage and actually use it over the other? And so far, there's a lot of experience on High Voltage, and I think they are more likely to win.
I agree, but I would hope that would also go to a 5-4 like the regular season game because that was pretty awesome.
You can't negate the live effect, though. And a lot of
True.
players on Refuse haven't played live yet, from my understanding. So it's something that most of the high voltage players are pretty familiar with. So again, that's one that can very easily go on tilt either way, but I think both these teams are resilient enough. I'd love to see it go 5-4, but I don't think it will.
Okay. Well, thanks for stopping by, David, and giving us your thoughts on how the playoffs are going to unfold. Any
It's been a
last
pleasure.
thoughts about the season or what's coming up?
It's been a great season. I've enjoyed doing it, and I've always appreciated the content you've been putting out.
Great. Well, that's it for now, and as always, thanks for stopping by.